Hello everybody, it's Bandor and I'm back with another video. This time we're going to be going over the Universal Materials Texture Changer. This is a tutorial on how to use the system. I had some videos up on this, but people were saying that, it's changed so much since I made those videos that I thought I would do another video to show you how you can use it to do some very simple stuff. So we're going to do a series of these videos. This one's just going to be on the basics. I'll do one on how to do a HUD. I'll do one on how to do um, complex objects, single prim objects, how to have nested menus, how to have menus for specific parts where only certain parts change and other parts don't. All of that we'll go over. I'll show you how to use it in a master-slave arrangement. I'll show you how to use it in all the different possible ways that you can use it. But today we're going to just talk about the basics of how to use it, what it is, and what it's for. So let's get started. So when PBR came out, I immediately ran into a problem, and that is I make furniture, and I put texture changers in my furniture. And so, uh, you might get a couch or a bed or something, and I might have 20, 30, 40, 50 different textures in there, and various combinations of them. So you can, as a consumer of my products, you have the ability to change the textures and give you a lot of variety. Um, Sometimes it's the whole thing changes. Sometimes I would do I would have a separate menu for changing like the pillows or the blankets or the headboard or the wood trim. I could be as complicated as I wanted and make it as cool for the consumers. Well, the problem was all of the existing texture changers that were available on the market only did the old blend fong diffused, normal, specular materials. They didn't handle PBR. And so that meant I couldn't use PBR on my products and have the textures change um, until I had a texture changer system. So I waited and I reached out to a bunch of the different vendors who had and asked if they were going to do it. And I either got no response at all or I got negative responses. So that kind of pushed me. And being that I am a scripter, I decided, okay, why don't I just go ahead and script something for my own use? And so I put something together that kind of acted similar to some of the other systems that were out there. But as I was doing it, I started identifying tons of changes and tons of improvements and things that I wanted to do. And then I realized, I'm not the only person who needs this. So I put it out on the market just to help, to get something out there. And I made two versions of it. There's a personal edition, which is totally free, and it's for personal use. You can't distribute it. It's no transfer, so it's copy only. But you can put it in as many things as you want that you have. And then I made a builder version, which is copy and trans. You just can't distribute it with both of those on. You have to set it to either copy yes trans no or copy no trans yes when you distribute it. But it gives you the ability to put it in your own products or put it in your own things and distribute it. So I got that, and it was just PBR at the beginning. It was the only thing it did was PBR. And then people said, it would be nice if it could do this, or it would be nice if it could do that. And me personally, I found that I needed it to do a lot of other things too. So I started adding more and more functionality to it, and it was constantly evolving. And I actually would get complaints from people saying, dude, you just updated this the other day, and now you're updating it again. And I'm like, well, yeah, sorry, but I'm making it better, and I'm improving it, and I'm adding features and functionality, as well as fixing bugs. And to be honest, the system itself, the way it's written, created by Second Life, it's very um, strange and weird, and in my personal opinion, is it's poorly implemented to do PBR materials, but it is what it is, and so this tries to help get around some of the limitations and the problems that we have with the way things are implemented. Um, but it is confusing. It's massively confusing and it's very complicated, and you can't do simple things like you used to be able to do. Like there was ways where you could just make a prim disappear by hiding it, by turning the textures to be alpha. And there was a simple way of doing that with one line of code called set alpha. or put a texture on there with the set texture. Well, you can't do that anymore with PBR. It doesn't work. So, and then if you have PBR and blend fong, it creates all kinds of issues and challenges. So I try to take the guesswork out of that and try to make something that would be as easy as use, but very powerful and very capable. And that's what we've ended up with. And at some point, I realized people wanted to have the old materials as well as blend fong, or as well as PBR. So I said, okay, well, I'll have it do both. So I started making it work with the old textures as well as new PBR textures. And that's when I realized, well, it's no longer a PBR materials texture changer. It is a universal materials texture changer. So we renamed it. And since then, we've been adding more and more functionality. We added the ability to do HUDs. We've added the ability to do blend fong only, which I had never intended to do from the very beginning because there were already systems to do that. So, but now you can do blend fong only. You can do PBR only. You can do combinations of the two. You can do every part of the GLTF settings, everything from base color to roughness and metallic to normals, emissive. All of those are exposed and available for you to use if you want to. But to keep it as simple as possible, we made it so that you only need to do the things you want to do. So if you only are doing PBR and you're only ever going to do just a PBR material and you're not going to be modifying it with any of the GLTF parameters, then you can just use PBR only. If you're only doing blend fong and you're not going to do PBR, but you might decide to do it later on, then you can use this with blend fong only. If you want everything to be menu driven, you have the ability to have everything be menu driven. You can have a flat menu. You can have a hierarchical menu. You can have, I think it's like 5 levels deep menus. If you want a HUD, you can have a HUD. If you want to have it so that you click and make a change on one piece of furniture and it affects the entire set of furniture, you can do that. So there's so many different features and functionality available that you can use. So, all right, so we're going to jump in and we're going to work on a practical project that you can actually follow along with and see how we do it. So we've got this kind of semi-customized massage table that I got it off of Marketplace, but then I modified it. I think one of the cushions was at an angle and I wanted it to be flat, so I modified it to be flat. But this is a prefab, and so this will show you a good example of how to work with a prefab. All right, so we're going to go full screen so you can follow along and don't have to look behind the image that was sticking up. So again, this is the prefab we're going to work with, and so the first step that you want to do is you want to edit this and just look at it and get an understanding of what the object is like. So sometimes an object will be a single prim, and everything is in the root prim. Sometimes it'll be like this one where it's multiple prims and you have a single root prim. So for this example, we're going to be using this object. It's got a lot of parts, and I don't want to change all the parts, so we're only going to set it up to work on certain parts. Like let's just do the cushions. So the way you set this up, the first thing you have to do is you have to edit your object, and you have to go to each of your linked prims, or if it's just one object, just the root prim, and you need to add what we call a T-name to the different parts that you want to change the textures on. So let's set it up so we only want to change these cushions. I'm going to leave the wood. I'm just going to put a wood on here. I'm probably not even going to do that, but ideally I would have just a wood on here, and that wood would never change. But the cushions I want to change and give the user the ability to change them, give them 5 or 6 different varieties of cushions. So we're going to put T-names on these. So you do that by editing it, go to edit link part, then click on each of the parts that you want to change, and you can set it in the description field. If for some reason your description field is used, like say you're using Cool Doors or some other script that uses the description field, you can combine them if that program allows you to do it and separate it with a hash mark. Our script will work that way, or you can change it in the settings to use the name field, but you have to actually change our setting, and I'll show you a way in which to do that. So you can actually put it in either the name field or the description, but by default it's expecting it to be in the description field. And since I'm not using anything that interferes with that, I'm just going to go ahead and use the description field. So we'll call this one cushion 1. So the name that you put in the description is T semicolon cushion 1. This one we're going to call cushion 2. So it is T semicolon, it's a lowercase t semicolon cushion 2. And then the third one we're going to call T semicolon cushion 3. So a common mistake is that people will put a colon there, and that doesn't work, or they'll use a capital T, and I'm not sure if that works or not because I don't remember if I check for that, but just to be safe, it's T, lowercase t, semicolon, and then whatever you want to call it. So I had these named before, but I'm going to take them off because I don't want them on. I want them named because I want to show you what it's like without having the everything come out. So, and then if we want to, we can add some more on there, and you can see it'll work that way too. Okay. Shadow doesn't have a name. That doesn't have a name. That doesn't have one. That doesn't have one. That doesn't have one. So only looks like 3 things do. All right. So the first thing after you've named it is you need to put the data dump script in. Now, where do you need to put the scripts? It's made so you can put the scripts anywhere you want. You can put them all in the same prim. You can put them in the root prim. It doesn't have to be the root prim. You can put them in any part you want. If it's a single prim object, of course, that means you have to put them all in the same prim, and it works perfectly fine. It works on textures that are on individual faces. So if you have an object with 6 or 7 different faces on it, that will work perfectly fine. Or if you have just one texture on the entire prim, it works that way too. So it's smart enough to figure that out. In this case, these are all 1 texture per prim, as far as I can tell. It looks that way. You edit it, and you go to look at the faces. You can see this face is the entire object. There's only 1 face per part, so that's how it's going to work. All right, so like I said, we want to put our data dump script in, and so and you don't have to put the scripts in the same place. You can put them in different places so that they interfere with each other less. They don't really interfere. It just gets confusing to you. So I'm going to put my data dump script down here in this, looks like the table part, this base part. That's where I'm going to put my data dump script. So I'm going to put it down here. Just go to the contents, and then you just drag the data dump. The current version that I'm using right now is 8.2. So I'm going to drag that in, and now it's in there. Now go ahead and click on that, and you'll get this menu that comes up. And you can't see my menu over here. It's cut off. Well, that's not good. Let me see if I can fix that. Okay, I adjusted it, and for some reason I had this thing set up for 4K, but it's not optimized correctly for this for some reason. So I have to go back and try to figure that out at another time. But we'll go ahead and do that again. So click there. Now you get the menu that pops up. You have 2 options on the menu, dump data and admin. For this, we want to do admin. We're not ready to dump yet, so click on admin and you'll get a sub menu. There's a bunch of different options in here. The first one on the bottom left is set mode. Mode is how does it work? Does it do PBR only? Does it do blend-fong only? Does it do a combination? Or what do you want to have it change? Name or description, that's where you would tell it whether or not you're going to use the description field or the name field. By default, it uses description, but if you want to use the name field, you would need to click on that and pick name. Encode, yes or no. They have the ability to encode the UUIDs of textures, so it obfuscates it so people can't see them, copy them, steal them, whatever. But generally speaking, you don't really need to do that because of the way the system works. Things are protected and obfuscated anyway. But that was a specific request that a couple of customers had, so I put it in. Security, that determines who can actually access this, whether it's just the owner, the group, or everyone. Works via. What does works via mean? You have the ability to use the texture changer in several different ways. It can work just by clicking on the prim and getting a menu. It can work by using AV Sitter, sitting on it, and having a texture button in your menus on AV Sitter. It can also work via a HUD. And so the options that you have when you do Works Via, sorry, timed out. So the options on Works Via are AV Sitter, which is AV Sitter only, touch, which is touch only, both, which it'll work for both AV Sitter while you're sitting on it from the menu, or you can click and do it, and then HUD, and HUD would be HUD only. And both also means HUD and AV Sitter. So basically both means either touch and HUD, or both hit touch and HUD and AV Sitter. So that's a little complicated, but I didn't want to have extra buttons that just said HUD and AV Sitter. And so I just said both means they work together anyway. If you don't put the scripts in for the HUD, it's not going to do the HUD, so it doesn't really matter. So, but anyway, I don't want to confuse you with all of that. Go back to the admin menu. Let's see what else is in here. Set defaults. So it has certain defaults that are set already, but if you want to override those, you could come in here and change what those set default values are. And auto diffuse means if you have a PBR material on your furniture and you want to use BlendFong, but you don't want to spend the time to create BlendFong materials, you can turn on auto diffuse, and what it will do is it will copy the base color texture and use that as the BlendFong diffuse texture. It won't look as good as if you do a custom diffuse, but it's a labor-saving thing and makes life a lot easier. If you just want to have something on for BlendFong so that your customers don't go, why is this white? They'll have something to look at. But anyway, the one we're concerned with right now is set mode. So we're going to click on set mode. The menu times out, so you have to click on it again. Okay, so the options are PBR only, PBR plus base color. So PBR means the material, an actual PBR material. And so that's what this means, PBR plus base color. So you have the PBR material applied, and you're going to go in and make some changes to the base color parameters, like you want to scale it, or you want to rotate it, or you want to offset it. PBR plus non-PBR, let me do PBR all first. PBR all gives you the entire GLT of set. So you have a PBR material applied, you have the access to all the base color parameters, you have access to all of the normal parameters, you have access to all of the metallic roughness parameters, and you have access to all of the emissive parameters, including the textures, the rotations, the offsets, the scale. There's other ones too, so like color, tint, so those things. All of those parameters are exposed and you have access to them. And then the last one is, or sorry, two more, PBR plus non-PBR. That means basically everything. So that you get all of the PBR parameters that you would get from PBR all, and you get all of the parameters that you would get from BlendFong only. So it's everything. It's like 47 parameters that you would have to deal with. And then the last one here is non-PBR only, which is BlendFong only. So if you just want to do diffuse, normal, specular, and you don't have any PBR materials, that's what you would select. But we're going to just do the easiest one right now, which is PBR only. So we're going to go ahead and select PBR only. I want to make sure it didn't time out. I'm going to do that again. Admin, set mode, PBR only. Okay, so that's set. And now we're ready to start texturing this thing. So let's go ahead and capture what it looks like right now, and we'll call that default, because I might want to be able to come in and colorize this. So we'll go ahead and create a texture set for this. So we'll click on the frame that has the data dump script in it, and we'll go ahead and click data, dump data. And then I have it comes out in the oops. And so you'll see nothing came out. And the reason nothing came out is because we don't have a PBR material. So we're not using a PBR material, so there is no default PBR material. So you can't really save this state unless you go in and create a default base PBR material for everything. Now, if I was doing BlendFong, and I'll show you what that's like. So if we want to do, let's set it up to do BlendFong only. So we'll go to set mode, non-PBR only. Now, if I were to do a data dump, you'll see stuff comes out. And that's because there are, if you edit it, you can look and see. If you go to texture, BlendFong, there are materials here. So if I go to the select face for this one, there is a material there. There's an image. And so it has something to dump out. But if you go to edit that and go to the PBR, you'll see there's nothing there. So that's why nothing came out when I dumped. So it's not a bug, it's just the way it is. If there's no PBR material, I certainly can't give you one. So we can't dump it out because there isn't any. All right, we're going to go back and we're going to set that back to PBR only. All right, Now, let's go ahead and stick some PBR materials on here. All right, so I went ahead and put some PBR materials on the wooden parts so that it looks good and so that you can see what we do doesn't affect them. All right, I got some cloth here. I don't know what they are, but we're going to stick some cloth on here and see what it is. I'll put different ones on each one of these cushions so we have some variety so you can see. Okay, this is the cloth 1 on that one. This is cloth 2. And this is cloth 3. All right, so those are just simple PBR materials slapped on so you can see what it looks like. Now, for what we're doing, we're going to do PBR only. So for PBR only, we cannot make changes to the materials on the object because those would be lost. For PBR only, all of the changes have to be stored in the material. So what does that mean? So for example, notice the grain of this texture is pretty small, so that looks pretty good. This one, the grain's a little bit bigger, so I might actually want to shrink that down a little bit, scale it down. And this one, the grain is, you can see the individual fibers are really big, so I would definitely probably want to scale that down. So for PBR only, if I were to go here and edit this, select that face, and then scale this, like put 2 here. Well, these parameters are not in the material. They are in what is called the GLTF base color parameters. And so for the PBR only mode, those won't get saved. So if you want to make changes like that, then you need to use the mode of PBR plus base color so that these parameters also get dumped out and also get saved. Or you have to actually be able to manipulate the original material here and save these changes out. So I can do that, and you'll see what happens because we're doing PBR only for this, right? So in order to do PBR only, I have to save these changes. And so I'm going to do a new material. We'll call it cloth 3 scaled, just so we have a reference. Okay? Now, that material that I just saved is not on here. The material that's on here is this one with a base color change. So in order for me to get that to be back on the material, I have to take the new material and put it back on. Even though it looks like it's there, it's not really there. So now I put that. Did it work? It doesn't look like it even worked. Well, maybe. Maybe it doesn't even store it there. So that doesn't work. So you can't see, that's the problem with PBR only. PBR only, it has to be in the material. It can't be done through the base color parameters. So, yeah, because if you go back to this one, they look exactly the same. It's because that data is not stored in the material. It's stored in the GLTF data. So that doesn't really look that. Let's just use this one on everything, which was 2. Let's just put 2 on everything so it looks consistent. Okay, there we go. We got something that looks pretty decent, right? And we're only using PBR materials. All right, so now if I go down here and I hit dump data, we'll see what comes out. And there it is. So this is going to my debug window because I have it routed that way in Firestorm. It probably for you, if you don't have it set it up that way, it'll come out in your local chat. But here it is. These are the 3 lines, one for each of the cushions. This is cushion 1, cushion 2, cushion 3, and this is the UUID of the PBR material here. And you'll notice there's no base color data, so there's no scaling, there's no offsets, none of that's in here. So if you make those changes, they will be lost. Okay, so now what I want to do is create a note card for this. And so the note card has a very specific naming practice, and this is another area that gets people every time. So I have one down here. I'm going to copy it and paste it right here and then rename it. So the way this has to be named, the first 3 letters have to be PBR in uppercase, followed by a colon. So that makes the first 4 characters of the name of the note card have to be capital P, capital B, capital R, colon. That's mandatory. If that's not there, it will fail. The next parameter, these are all parameters separated by colons, by the way, so there's like multiple parameters in this name. And what we do is we read that, we split it up by the colons into individual parameters, and we use it. So the second parameter after PBR is what we call the object name. It's a name of this thing that it's only meaningful to you. It's a name that, so you can identify these files. So if I come back 6 months from now and I want to look at all these text note cards, I know which one they went to, which product they went to. If I didn't have this, you wouldn't be able to tell them apart. It would just be called the same thing as everybody else, and you'd be so confused. So this is a massage table. So let's call this test massage table, like that, followed by a colon. Okay, so now the first two parameters are PBR uppercase colon test massage table colon. All right, and then from there on out, you have some flexibility. And so this is where you're naming things. And this is the names that will appear in the menus as either a menu or submenu, or the name of the actual texture set itself. So if this one, we're going to call this one, let's call this lime. Is it lime? Let's just call it yellow. Yellow. We'll call it yellow. Okay. So I could just call this yellow. Okay. Boom. Yellow. Okay. And then I could be done. So at a minimum, you have to have one field after the object name, which will be the name of the texture set that shows up in the menu or the HUD that's used to select this yellow material. So if I want to, you can call these anything you want, but let's say the first 11 to 12 characters are significant because that's what shows up on buttons in the menu. But you can have more than that many characters. All right, but let's say I want to have a bunch of different cloth textures on this, and then I wanted to have a bunch of leather textures on this. And I wanted my users to be able to navigate through the menus by picking either cloth or leather and then drilling down into the choices for cloth and leather. Then I can create a menu hierarchy here by making this first parameter be the top level menu that I want. So the top level menu is going to be called cloth. And then for menus, you put an asterisk at the end of the name because you want that to show up in the menu so that people know this is not a texture set, it's an actual menu option. So the standard practice for that is to put an asterisk at the end of the menu. And then colon to end that parameter, and then we can call it yellow. So this is the yellow cloth texture set. All right? Now we're going to edit that, and we're going to paste those 3 lines. I hope I copied them. Nope, I didn't. There they are. These 3 lines, I'm going to copy them and paste them into this note card. Now, it used to not do this, but I made it so that you don't have to delete the timestamp here. You can just leave that in there if you don't want to edit it. It's cleaner if you take it out. It's easier to read if you take it out. And I've had some people show me that they have these really long timestamps. Mine are very short, it just says the time. But I've had other people show me that on theirs it printed out like the name of the object, the date, the time, a bunch of stuff. And so they had problems and it didn't work. So I always suggest that you remove these anyway. The easiest way to remove them, because it all says the same thing, is just copy one of them from the left of the T to the beginning of the line, hit Control F, and then hit Replace All. And there you go, they're gone. And then save this. Okay. So we now have our note card with our texture data, our material data stored in. So we want to put that into our object where we want to click. So we have to decide where on this thing do I want people to click to activate the menu. And for this one, I'm going to just have it be the root prim, which is I think this cushion. You can tell the root prim because when you edit, it's the yellow one. Everything else is blue. Those are not the root prim. So it's easy to work on if you put it in the root prim. But if the root prim changes at some point, you have to rebuild some stuff. So we'll talk about that too. All right, so here you go. We're going to put it in the root prim. So we're just going to drop it in there. Okay, that's the next step. So we have textured it. We have T names on the parts that we want to change. We've textured it. We've dumped it out. We've created a note card. Next step, let's put in some scripts. So we'll go back to our scripts and we'll grab the what's called the LSD loader script. LSD stands for link set data. So what we do is we actually read that note card and we store it in persistent data storage in the object, which is called link set data. And so just grab that and drop it in and you'll see it starts running. It reads the note card and it stores it. And if it doesn't work, it'll give you some errors. So you have to read the output that comes out. It says, okay, reading note card names and generating link set data. Finish reading note card number 1 named PBR test massage table cloth asterisk yellow. And then it tells you how much memory is left both in link set memory and generic script memory. And then it says the note card data has been written to the list. If it didn't work for some reason, you'd be getting some warning messages coming out of here. One of the most common errors is that people will have multiple note cards, but they'll put different object names in the name of the note card. So it'll say like PBR test massage table for 1. The next one will say something like PBR colon object. They have to be the same. For this particular piece of furniture or this piece of clothing or whatever it is you're working on, all of the note cards have to have the same object name. Otherwise, it will fail because it reads the first one and it stores that and says, aha, this is what I'm expecting these things to be named. And if you name it something else, it will fail. So they all have to have the same first 2 parameters, PBR, and the object name has to be the same on all the note cards in this object. All right, but it worked. So now it's ready to use. Well, to use it as an end user, you need a different script in here. So we're going to edit this, and you can put this anywhere you want. But for our purposes, I'm going to put it in the same place here. I could put it in any param, it doesn't matter. And that is the main script. So right here, it's called main script. So you take the main script and drop it in. So far, we've not done anything super complicated. We put T names on the parts that we want to change. We textured it. We clicked, set the mode to be PBR only. And then we dumped. We made a note card by copying and pasting, removing the timestamp, and naming that note card with PBR in the first parameter, object name test massage table in the second parameter, and then our menu texture set names after that. That's it. That's the most complicated part, is naming that note card. All right. Now we've got the main script in it. Let's see if it works. So we're going to click on this and you'll see we got the menu that pops up and it has cloth and security. We're not going to play with security now. In fact, there's a bug, and if you click on security, the menu gets built with the security options and it doesn't go away. So I have to fix that. So there'll be an 8.3 coming soon. I found that today. But cloth is the menu that we created. So if you go back and look at our note card again, our note card was called PBR colon test massage table colon cloth asterisk. So that cloth asterisk is the first menu, and there it is in use. There's the menu. So if I click on it, you should expect to see one button with the word yellow on it. So I click it and there it is, yellow, and up takes us back to the top level. So yellow. So if I click on that, it will trigger that texture set to run, but it doesn't look any different right now. So you won't notice it change unless it doesn't work, and then you'll see, oh, something weird happened, right? But anyway, let's change this to something so that you can see it change. So we're going to go back to here and we're going to turn these to none. So there's no texture on it. Okay. So now you'll definitely see it change. I'm going to click on yellow and there it goes. And see how fast it is? It's extremely fast. But that's it. I just put a texture changer on it. Okay, so let's put a different cloth on here and save another one. So let's try number 4 up here, see what it looks like. Okay. There we go. So now I have this texture and we're going to call it wavy. Okay. So let's click on our dump script, which is down here. But you'll notice you get both menus. And that's because we added a function here to pass the click on, because it was necessary to do that. So you may get these stacked menus. So if you look at it, you go, oh, my dump menu's missing. Where's my dump menu? Try moving that one out of the way, and there it is. And go ahead and click dump, and you'll get 3 new lines that come out. I'm going to copy this note card. That's the easiest way to do it. Just duplicate this note card. So we're going to copy it. And then we're going to paste it. And then I'm going to rename it. And I'm just going to change the yellow to be called wavy. Okay, then we open it, and we'll copy these 3 lines and paste them in. Instead of those, go ahead and get rid of that by selecting it, Control F, and hitting Replace All, and then hit Save. Okay, and now, since that's done, we can edit this. We'll go back to the root prim, and we'll drag that new script in, not script, the note card, and it will automatically load it and start updating, and there it goes. Now it says you have 2 note cards. It says finish reading note card 1, and there's no errors that came out. Finish reading note card 2 with no errors coming out, and then it says it completed and everything's good to go, and you should be able to use it. So let's test it now. Click that one, and now we'll go to the cloth menu. We have 2 choices, wavy and yellow. So let's switch to yellow. Let's go back to wavy. Yellow, wavy. Okay, now let's do another one. See how easy it is? Super, super simple. Once you set up the correct things, the hardest part is the note card name. All right, let's go ahead and we'll do another cloth. Let's try this cloth 6. I don't know what it looks like, but we'll see. Okay, it's some kind of blue, so we'll call it blue. Click on the base down here where I have my dump script. Move that out of the way. There's dump. Hit dump. There comes my 3 new lines. We're going to paste another one. Just hit, I should already be copied, so I think I can just hit paste. Yep, there it is. We'll call this one blue. We'll open it. Drag these 3 lines in. Get rid of the thing at the beginning. Control F, replace all, save. And then we'll drag in another one. Now we have 3. It should come out and say that there's 3. 1, 2, 3, with no errors. Now if I click on it, go to the cloth menu, there's 3 options, blue, wavy, yellow. So let's try them. Wavy, yellow, blue, wavy, yellow, blue. Okay, let's do one more. Let's grab number 9 up here. I don't know what that is. Oh, it's got some, I don't know what to call that. Let's just call this one teal. I don't know of a better name for it. So it's got that pattern on it. So we'll dump. Oh, where's my dump button? Move the menu out of the way. Dump. There's my 3 lines. Let's paste another copy of the note card. We'll call this one teal. Again, it's not really teal, but we'll call it teal. And we'll take those 3 lines and we'll paste it in. And get rid of it. Control F, replace all, save. Now edit, drag it in. It should load and say we have 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. No errors. Everything's good. We have plenty of memory left. Let's go ahead and test it. Click. Cloth. Now we have 4. Yellow, blue, teal, wavy. Let's go to yellow. Blue. Wavy. Teal. So in just a couple of minutes, it took me a while to get started, but once I got started, I'm able to generate these new texture sets in seconds, right? Let's see how fast it takes me. Somebody start a stopwatch, right? Are we ready? Go. I'm going to put number 12 on here. I'm going to hit dump. Paste another one of these. Change it to gray. Where's rename? Gray. Spent more time looking for a rename than actually doing the work. Copy it. Paste it in. Get rid of the beginning. Control F, replace all, save. And stop the stopwatch. Was that 20 seconds? 20 seconds? I don't know. Maybe not even. And we click on it, and there we go. There's gray. So go back to teal. Let's pop over to gray. You'll see sometimes it takes a little bit extra to load because it's it's not caching right now because I have so much stuff going on. So I lose my textures a little bit, but that's the way it works. All right. Okay, so let's go back and talk about what happens if you if you want to make changes to the base color parameters, right? So in the mode we're in right now, we can only do PBR materials, but let's say I want to actually make some changes to those because I don't like the way this looks. So we go back to where I think it was the second or third one. Yeah, it was number 3, right? So let's go back and look at number 3, cloth number 3. We'll put that back on here on the whole thing. And again, I can't make changes to the scale within the PBR material. I have to do that in the base color GLTF options. So to do that, we'll go ahead and select face, and we'll come down here to texture, PBR, and we can set the scale here. So let's see what 2 looks like. It's better, but let's double it again. Let's do 4. I honestly don't know what this should look like. That's better. So let's do 4. All right, so I'll just put the same thing on the other 2 cushions, and we'll set that to 4. 4 on that one. And now all 3 of them are set the same. Again, if I were to dump this now, in fact I'll show you. If I were to dump now, you'll see it only gives me the PBR material. The last parameter on there, by the way, is alpha, because there's a condition that you can get into where if you have alpha turned on, they'll be transparent. By setting that to 0, it makes them not transparent. For some reason, alpha is one of the other parameters that you can manipulate directly from here. So it's very strange. But I did put that on there to be opaque by default. But if you want them to be transparent, you should change this to a 1 at the end, just so you know. But anyway, see, you'll notice that none of the information about the scale showed up in my dump, right? It's because I have to change my mode. So in order to change my mode, I have to go back down here and click on admin, set mode, and this time we're going to pick PBR plus base color. And now, if I try to run something, you're going to get a failure. Watch this. So we'll try to pick the textures now. Cloth, blue. What happened? It's not right. Oh my God, I need to call Bandor because this isn't working. These are not right. This isn't right. This is wrong. What's going on? Well, it's sort of right, but it's sort of wrong. And the problem is, whenever you, and this is why I'm talking about the implementation of PBR is bizarre. So whenever you edit a PBR material, see, it did set the material correctly. The material's right there. But it's also got a tint on it, and the tint is black. It actually, there's no tint showing here, but the tint is 0, 0, 0, and 0, 0, 0 is black. And that's because anytime you have a PBR material on and you start making changes, well, actually, no, when you have made changes, yeah, that's the better way of saying it. When I've made changes to the base color parameters, like the scale or whatever, and then you apply a material, it sets these to 0, including setting the color to 0. It sets everything to 0. But I had parameters there, so why are you setting it to 0? So I just don't get it. I don't understand why they made it this way. They call it overrides. And so I create the overrides, but then it overwrites my overrides. And so it goes back to 0. And that's what black is, 0. And so it's applying a black tint to it, and that's why it looks 0. So plus the number of parameters are no longer correct. So if you look at these number of parameters, here we have, I think this is 1 parameter, 2 parameters, which is the face, then the material is the 3rd parameter, and the 4th parameter is the alpha. So there's 4 parameters in PBR only. But if you notice, when we dump, I'll do that again, dump, there's more than 4 parameters now. That's because these are all the base color parameters. So there's no base color texture applied. We're going to use just the ones with the material. So we're not overriding the base color texture. So there's nothing in that parameter. This is your scale. This is your offsets. This is your rotation. This is the tint to be applied, which I have forced it to be 1. And then these are the other parameters on the end here for, I don't remember what all they are. They have to do with alpha, alpha mode, alpha cutoff, double-sided, I think is what they are. So the problem is we've told it to do PBR plus base color. So all 3 scripts expect PBR plus base color. The loading script expects PBR plus base color. The main script expects PBR plus base color. And since it's no longer using PBR plus base color, it's going to either give you errors or it's not going to work right. So you have to be aware of that. Now, the LSD script didn't run because we haven't made a change to anything. But if I go in here and I modify one of these just temporarily, so I can just pop that out and pop it back so I can make a change to the file and save it, the LSD will run. And now you'll notice that it gives errors. See, these are those warnings I was telling you about. So we got errors because I changed from PBR only to PBR plus base color, but my note cards are still set up for PBR only. So what that means is we have to redo our note cards now to have the right materials with the right number of parameters. So that's one of the things. If you change the mode, you have to redo all of your note cards. It's not a hard thing to redo all our note cards. We just go in here and retexture them, right? But now I have the ability to make changes to my base color parameters. So I do want to do that on these because that looks too grainy for me. So we're going to go to the scale, and let's put a scale of 2 on these. So it did all 3 of them, and now I have that. So let's go ahead and dump that. And there it came. That's the data for this first one. So if I go in here to my note card now, and I didn't make a note card for this, so let's just overwrite. This is teal anyway, so let's overwrite the teal. We'll put that in the teal. Okay, and again we can get rid of the timestamps. So we'll go ahead and do that. Replace all and save. And now you'll notice when the LSD script runs, one of the note cards came out okay, but other ones gave warnings. So one of them is good, the rest of them are not. So, all right, let's go ahead and stick number 2 on here. Okay. And we'll go ahead and put a parameter on that too. So we'll go ahead and scale that to 2 as well. Just make sure I select the faces that I want to change. Set the scale to 2 on that. So it got tighter. And then we just do dump. We're going to copy that again. Put it into the note card. The note card is called yellow. This time I'm going to leave the timestamp so you can see it actually works. Okay, so now we're only getting 2 error messages. I think we used 9, right? Wasn't it 9? Which is the, no, that's the wavy one. So, okay, wavy. And I'm going to change the parameters on that. I want to rotate it 90 degrees. So we're going to rotate it so that it goes the other way. So put a rotation on this one. And let's tighten that up by doubling it to 2. And there we go. So let's dump that. And we'll put that into wavy. I left the timestamp in there. Okay. So now we're only getting a warning from, should only be getting from gray note card. Gray note card's the only one giving us warnings now. All right, but I gave it 1 per line. All right, so the gray, I think it was 12. Now on this one, I don't want to scale it. I like it the way it is. And I don't want to rotate it. I like it the way it is. So I'm not going to make any changes to it, but I still have to redump it because it still needs to have the correct number of parameters. So let's go ahead and do data dump. And there comes the new one. And we'll put that in gray. And now you should not get any warning messages. Look at that. Finish reading note card 1, note card 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5 note cards and they all pass because they all have the right number of parameters now. Well, let's go ahead and test it. So hit cloth, blue. Uh-oh, why did it change the wrong thing? Okay, so blue didn't work, and it actually changed the wrong things. Why did it change that? I bet there's an error in the note cards. Let's go back and look at those note cards. Oh, see? Blue isn't updated. I didn't update blue. I don't know why. It's got the old parameters in it. Which is the other one? Gray? Gray looks right. Not sure why it didn't. And see, I got warnings this time that blue is wrong, which is so weird. I don't know if you guys watched this, you saw me do it, so I don't know if you saw the mistakes I made. I don't know. I don't know why. So somehow I overwrote this now. So I have to go back and clean that up. All right. Let's go back and fix the blue. So blue was 9. No, that's teal. Oh, I didn't do blue. That's why. Did anybody remember what blue was? 6. Okay, we'll put 6. That's why, because I hadn't done blue yet. So this is the problem. If you don't change the note cards and you try to use them, you'll get bizarre behavior. So okay, there we go. We got the blue in here. I don't want to scale it or anything, so I'm just going to dump again. All right, so go ahead and hit dump. That looks like it timed out. A lot of times if nothing happens when you click a menu button, it's because it timed out. Okay, so there we go. That's the dump for blue. Interesting. And if I go into blue, oops. Okay. Sometimes also the timestamp changes if you do it right at like the change between 1 minute to the next. So using Control F, replace all, might not work, so you have to realize why. Nope. I want to save this note card. All right, let's see what it says when it comes out. Note card 1, finished. Note card 2, finished. 3, 4, 5. Okay, looks like they're all working this time. Well, let's try it again. Wavy. It's turned sideways. Oh, but notice the spec is still going the other way. The specular is still going the other way. Or the, not the specular, but the ORM. Okay, so what that introduces is we can't, if we want to rotate this and scale it, we can't just do base color. But anyway, let's go through this and I'll show it to you. So there's gray, there's teal, yellow, and it's scale, but you'll notice you can see the same thing. You can see the what is it called? The ORM, the occlusion roughness metallic map is not the same as the base color. And so that's what really told me. I said, oh, what is this then? This artifact that I have here. Well, that's because when you look at the material, select face. There's these other parameters too. So we're on base color. I did all. I changed it on all, and that's why I didn't change it on all. Yeah, see, normal's still 1, ORM is 1, and emissive is 1. It's because I had base color selected when I did my change. Okay? But it's good that I did that because I realized that just doing base color alone isn't going to work for this. And the reason is you need to change all of these. You need to change all of them. Well, I can change all of them. See, watch this. I'll do that. I'll change all of them. Well, I'm going to put base color back to 1. And I'm going to put it back to 0, like it was to start with. Okay? So now you don't see the artifact anymore, right? But watch closely when I do it. If I do select face on that again. And now if I just do base color and I rotate it 90 degrees, you'll see the artifacts are there. See, the artifact is still there. Right? Why? Well, because you have to change all of them. Okay? So let's put that back to 0. And instead of base color, choose all. Now when I put the rotation in, and I set this to 2, and look at it, there's no artifacts, and it looks clean. Okay? But it's not going to work. I'll show you. It's not going to work. We'll dump it. So let's dump this. We'll put this into wavy. Wavy. And then we'll let it reload. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's reloaded. And then we'll switch it off of wavy to gray and go back to wavy. Oh, it actually did work. Oh, correct. It did work, but not exactly. So I've changed manually. I changed the rotation and scale of all, and so they are changed. But when I do the material texture changer and I pick wavy, only base color changes, but you don't notice it because the other ones are already changed. So where you will notice it is when I go between that and something else, like maybe this. Can you see it? Nope, I don't see it. Right here. Looks fine to me. So these look okay, but I know internally it ain't right, and it could create some issues for you. But well, how do you solve that problem? Well, let's go back to the wavy one. In that case, what you have to do is if you are making changes and you want to make changes to all of the parameters, then you have to do mode of PBR all. And so you'd have to go down to your admin, set your mode to PBR all. Because we're changing more than just the base color. We're changing the ORM, we're changing the normal, we're changing the emissive. And so the only way you can save that information is using PBR all. Which explains why we have PBR all. But you can also do things like modify the ORM, you can modify the normal. So maybe you don't want a normal. Like one of these, let's go back and look at them. One of these materials, I didn't like the way it looked because of the normal. I think it was the wavy. I know what it's called, it's called Cartagena in the textures. It's the one with the, yeah, it is the wavy. Well, I renamed that to be wavy. So yeah, I screwed up. That wasn't wavy. This is wavy. This was the original wavy. They call this Cartagena. I don't know what they call it. See, I don't like that normal. The normal's too big to me. It's too bumpy. So what I could do is I could come in here and I could say, okay, I don't want that normal. So texture, go to my PBR material for this face. And then let's go down to the normal, and I'm going to put none. Now the normal goes away. Okay. And If I want to do the same thing, so what did I do on this? Base color is rotated. No, it's not. Nothing's changed. The only thing that's changed was I got rid of the normal. Okay. So if I put that, is it 4? That on everything. Yep. And then I get rid of the normals on that. Normal, none. Okay. But again, we're in, right now we're in PBR plus base color mode, right? So if I go ahead and dump that, let's see what happens. I have this. We're going to call this zigzag. How about that? And we'll put that into zigzag. Ah. Getting all flustered here. Replace all. Save. And then we can drag that in. All right. And we think we're done, right? We think, hey, I got rid of the normal. Everything looks good. I'm happy with it, even though I can see the teal wavy thing. I can see it's I can see some of it in here. It's showing. So yeah. You might not notice it, but I do because I'm so used to this. I can see that there's anomalies. There's a little anomaly there, and a little anomaly there, and there's one that goes right through here. It's because the ORM for that other one is still showing because it's manually set and I haven't overridden it with the texture changer, which is because we're using different modes, and that's the problem. So okay, so anyway, I've saved this. Now let's go see what happens when I run it. I'm gonna pick cloth. I'm gonna pick gray. And there, you can see a little bit of the anomalies here. And then this one's called zigzag, right? Zigzag. The normal's back. Why is the normal back? I got rid of the normal. Let's look at it. Normal's there. Why is the normal there? The normal is there because I'm in PBR plus base color. So if I want to save, get rid of this normal and save that so it comes back every time somebody picks it without the normal, then I can't use PBR plus base color and I have to use PBR all. So I would have to go in here, click on my dump data thing, and instead of doing dump data, click on admin, go to set mode and set it to PBR all. Then I would go back and edit each one of these faces, turn off the normal, and dump. Now look what happens when you dump. Look how many parameters came out now. Okay. So I have to go back and edit that note card. But that introduces another issue. So I fixed this note card, but now all the other note cards are still using PBR plus base color. They're not set up for PBR all. So I would have to go back and do them all again to get all of them the same. They all have to be the same. And the reason I'm showing you this is to show you what happens when you make changes like that, right? So if you start making changes and you want to save them, you have to have the right modes. Once you change mode, you have to change all your note cards. So what we can do now is I can go back and try to clean some of these up. This one should be right, but let's go back and do this one. I applied a new material. So remember, when you apply a new material, it wipes out all of the overrides and sets them all to 0. So we would then need to go in, and I think what we wanted to do was set this to 2. Make sure all is selected. Set this to 2. Set this to 2. And then we can dump. Now copy all those parameters. And that one's, I think, called teal now. So we'll go to teal, paste that. And you know, I'm not worrying about what those individual parameters are. I'm not, I could, but I haven't. I'm not going in there and worrying about what they are. I just know that I have to have the right number of them. And I have to have the right mode with the right number of parameters. Okay, so that was that. Did we use two? Two's yellow. Two's yellow. Okay, again, I apply the material, it overwrites all of the overrides. And so then I have to go in and change what I want this to be. So I want to do all, and I want to do 2 on all, oops, not 2, 22, 2. Why did that not work? It did, okay. Lag. Okay, 2 on everything. The dump. Copy that. Put that into the note card for yellow. Save it. Then I don't remember which one to do next. I think 3. That's Cartagena, right? Oh no, we did that one. Yeah, okay, so did I save that one? I don't remember what all did. No, we didn't. But we can. Let's do that. We'll go ahead and make this one, and we'll overwrite one of these other ones. We'll overwrite the gray, so I don't do it again. 3, 3, 3. Select face. Select all of them. We'll rotate that 90 degrees. Set this to 4. And then we'll dump that. And copy that and put it into, we're going to do the gray one. No, I don't want to do that. Let's just do a new one. It's getting bigger. We'll call this one stripes. That way I don't want to confuse you more than I already am. All right, we have stripes. We'll edit that. Save it. Okay. Now we'll put that in. And I think 6 was 6. I don't have to wait for this to all come out to continue working. It's just because it makes changes anytime I save a change, so it'll automatically update itself. All right, so the blue one, I don't want to make any changes to this, but I still have to dump it and reload it. So I'm going to dump that out. We're going to copy that into blue. And then I think we did 9. What was the teal one? We already did that one, didn't we? I don't remember. It's called wavy, and what we're going to do on that one is we're going to make sure we're going to rotate it 90 degrees. Set it to not 900 degrees, 90 degrees. Set that to 2. 2. Dump. Store that in wavy. Where's wavy, wavy, wavy? Right there. Gray. I don't remember what gray was. "12" is the ziggy zag one. Nope, 12 was gray. Okay, good. And again, we like that one the way it is, so we don't want to make, oop, that's not, put the wrong one. All right, so we want this to stay the way it is, but we do have to definitely dump it out again because it has to have the right number of parameters. All right? And there we go. Ooh, we're going to put that in gray. So I think that was the last one. Let's see what it does. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No errors. Okay, I think that worked. So if we click, go to cloth, and we go to blue, we get the blue one. and it looks good. There's no artifacts now. And if we go to zigzag, it has normals. All right, so it still has a normal. Why is it got a normal? Didn't we turn the normal off? Zigzag. If I edit it, now we can actually look at the parameters. Oh, I see why. It's because, yes, so we turned it off in the here. There's no normal in this, but it applies this normal, and there it is in the material. It's still in the material. And remember, when you apply a material, it resets the overrides. So in order to make that kind of change, we actually have to change the material. So which material was this? Anybody remember? 2? Nope. 3? I should have named these things better than this. 4? There it is, 4. Okay, 4. So, oh, I could have just done that. So we're going to do this. Edit, texture, and we'll open up the material this way. Okay. So it's this one. 4. What if I open it that way? There we go. Now I'm editing the actual material. So what I did before wasn't saving the actual material. So this is the actual material. And so I don't want the normal in here, which is this one. So I would click on that and pick none. Now if I do save as, I can recall this cloth, Cartagena, no normal. Now it'll work. See, there's still a normal there. All right, let's try putting that on and see what it looks like. Didn't I get rid of the normal? Maybe I didn't hit OK. Now I did. All right, now let's try it. There it is. Okay, now I got rid of the normal. Okay, so you can't get rid of the normal by changing the parameters because it overwrites them. So you have to do it in the material itself. Okay, so there we go. So I applied that way. Now if I dump again, like so, right? And then put that into zigzag. Let it reload. So that's a case where it didn't give an error because there had the right number of parameters and the right kinds of data in the parameters. But it gives like what we call a runtime error, which is like it doesn't do what you think it's supposed to do. Right? All right, now if we click on it and we go to cloth, blue. Now if I go back to zigzag, there's no normal. And there you go. So that's like, so we did PBR only, we did PBR plus base color, and we did PBR all. We made a bunch of different modifications to things to get them to look correct as we do them. And it's really an art of playing around with things to get it to look the way and dumping this outlet. Now, given that you have that, and I said I wasn't really paying attention to any of what the actual parameters were, and I'm just copying and pasting. I'm not really focusing on what they mean, but you can. So that's one of the really cool and powerful things about this is you can actually manipulate what's inside the settings here. So like for the blue one, right? If I do want to adjust the scale on the blue one, I can just open this up. I don't have to go through that whole edit process. I can just come in here and say, okay, I know this is scale. And it's set to 1:1. And this is for the base color. Well, I can change that to 4:4. And do that on all 3 cushions. But again, right now this is just the base color I'm changing. Well, I want to change it on the other parameters too. So each one of these, I know where they are. You'd have to go look it up in the documentation to see where it is. But the blank space here is where there's a texture. So this blank space is base color texture. So I know if I go to the next blank one, that's my ORM texture. And the parameter right after that is going to be the rotation, or not the rotation, the scale, right? It's called repeats. So I'm going to put a 4 there. Oops. 4 with a comma after there. Do the same thing here by manually changing these. Then I go, okay, so that's the ORM. And then look for the next blank one. Aha, there, that's the normal. Or emissive. Sorry, that's the emissive. And I'm not really using emissive, but we'll go ahead and change it anyway so that they all match. The other way to look for this is just look for the one that's, these are called vectors, it's 3 parameters in one. Look for the one that is a vector of 1, 1, 0. That's the repeats. And this is normal down here on the end. And so we'll set that to 4. Like so. And save it. And then when it's done reloading, we'll test it and we'll see. That was blue, right? Yeah, see, it's a much tighter grain now. It's 4 times tighter than it was. It looks a lot more shiny and smooth than it did. So that's one way to change parameters. Another thing is if, well, maybe I don't like this blue and I want it to be a different material. Well, I can just go in here and edit that. I can edit it. And I can say, okay, this is the PBR material UUID. So let's say I want to change this to number 8. I don't know what 8 is, but let's go ahead and copy the UUID for 8. And then we can just replace the UUID here. Control F. And then paste in the new UUID. And do replace, 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 and save it. And now let's look and see what blue comes out like when we're done. So if I go back and pick blue again, we'll see what it looks like. Oops, this one didn't change. It's stripes. Yep, I didn't change that one. So this is correct. I can tell because these two are the same and that one's different. So that's the old UUID. Paste over that. Now all 3 are the same. Okay. And if I go back and try it again, blue, now I have stripes. And if that looks like it's too tight of a stripe and I don't want it to be that tight, I can always go back in here, edit the blue, and where I have 440, I can just highlight that like so, go to search, find and replace, and then replace it with 1, 1, 1. Oh, I don't need the 1 on the end, sorry, 1, 1, 0. Search, replace all, and save. And now, when that is finished loading, if I pick blue, now it looks like that. And if I'm happy with that, then what I can do is say, do I really want to call that blue anymore? Maybe I don't want to call it blue anymore. I want to call it blue stripes. So I'm going to rename this to blue stripes. And now when I go to cloth, blue is not there, but blue stripes is. Right? Now, here's another one. How do I undo all that? Let's say, man, I really preferred it with just the materials and I didn't want to make all these changes to it, but I don't want to have to go regenerate everything. How can I do that? Just edit this. Go to this right after the UUID of your material. There's this blank field, right? Just select everything at the end of that and replace it with 0. everything here, replace it with 0, everything here, replace it with 0. And now I'm back to where we started from. But I'm going to get errors. Because it's going to tell me, see, warning, because the number of parameters is different. And so I could do the same thing for all of these. I think these are all the same on each note card. They're probably the same, so I could probably do that and just put 0 here. Yep, it worked. And I don't know, is this easier than manually going back and modifying things and then dumping and rebuilding the note cards? So I'm going to go ahead and edit all of these. So it's probably different note card to note card, so you don't want to use the same search for each of the note cards. But within a note card, it's probably the same. It might not be the same, but in these cases, they are the same. All right. Just a couple more. 0, replace all, save. Control F, replace that with 0, replace all, did it, save. And then this is the last one. Control F, 0, oops, replace all, save. Okay, that's all of them. Now they're all giving errors. Why are they all giving errors? Because the mode is wrong. So now I have to click down here, go to admin, set the mode back to PBR only. And you notice I don't have it. That's just probably something I'm going to make a note of that. I should probably force LSD to change. Anytime you change the mode, I should reset the LSD. And I don't. But I should. All right, so LSD didn't change, so what I can do is I can just reset scripts on this root prim. There's not the only scripts in here are these two. If I had AV Sitter in here, I wouldn't want to do that. But I can just reset the scripts, and now it'll reload them. If I don't want to reset scripts, just edit one of these, make a change the name, do something like that. It doesn't have to be a permanent change, just change something like add a white space, like a blank space, and then delete the blank space, and then save it. Just any kind of change that you make in where you save the file will force the LSD loader to reload. Okay, it ran and went through them and everything's fine. And now if we go back to this and do cloth, blue stripes, gray, everything works, but it's back the way it was when we first started with just the PBR material. Okay, so that's basically how you do everything with PBR, right? But what about if I want just blend font and I don't want any PBR? Well, we can do that. I'm going to go ahead and edit this and set it to none. So now there are no PBR materials. We're going to change this and say, we're going to click on it to get the admin menu, and we're going to set mode to non-PBR. Blend Fong only wouldn't fit in there, so I had to call it non-PBR only. So here we go. We're in non-PBR only. So now if I were to do a dump, let's see what happens. Remember when we tried to do a dump like this before, because there was no material, PBR material, it wouldn't dump anything. But now we've switched to Blend Fong. And that does dump. And it dumps out just the PBR, the non-PBR materials. This is your blend font. So this is the diffuse texture. Somewhere in here is a blank line right here. That is where your normal comes in, and then this is your specular. And since I don't have any, they're blank. But I went ahead and I did. I created a PBR material for one of these, so let's go ahead and stick that on there. We'll go ahead and put it on the cushions, and you can see this. Let's go texture, blend font, select face, this one. and this one, and this one. And we're going to put the diffuse, normal, specular. So this is just using blend font. There's no PBR on here. So now if I dump, you should see it got bigger because it put a texture in each one of those spots where before it was empty. Okay, so if I take that, copy it, and put it in here, and this is yellow, right? So we're going to go to yellow. We will paste it. You should see a whole bunch of errors, except for yellow. So now I need to, these other ones I'm not going to set up with blend font, so we'll go ahead and delete them. I don't need them right now. So the only thing in here is yellow, and it should tell me that it worked fine, and it did. So if I want to blank those out so we can see what it looks like. Okay, blank. Okay. None. Okay. None. Okay. All right, so now it has nothing on it. Let's go ahead and click this, go to cloth, and pick yellow. And there it is. There's our blend font. So if you just want to use this to do blend font materials, you can. If you just want to use it to do PBR materials, you can. If you want to be able to do PBR materials and make modifications with the base color, the rotation, the scale, you can. If you want to take normals out, you can. If you want to add normals in, you can. If you want to do both blend font and PBR, you can. So that's that. Now, this is just blend font. The other one was blend font and PBR, which we haven't shown you yet. Well, we did, but it didn't have anything in the blend font. Now it will. So let's go ahead and set this back to set the mode to PBR plus non-PBR. We'll do that one. And now I don't have any PBR materials on here, so let's go back and put my PBR material on. This was PBR cloth 1, right? So it should look similar. Oh no, not 1. 2. 2. 2. Okay, so now you can see the PBR. Because the way it works is if you have PBR on there and you have PBR enabled, then you only see PBR. You don't see the blend font unless you edit it. And then I can switch back and forth. So this says blend font. There's your PBR. There's your blend font. There's the PBR. There's blend font. There's PBR. All right. So now, if did I dump? Nope. Let's dump that. Boom. See how long it got now? It's really long. Each one is like a couple lines here. So copy all that information. It's like 46 or 47 parameters. Edit that, go back to yellow, paste it in. Save. And it loaded. And we'll click on that, go to cloth and pick yellow. You don't see any change because it was already set, so let's go ahead and let's wipe this out. Select face. Set that to none so you can see it change. Same thing on blend font. Set that to none. Blank. None. None. Okay, okay, okay. Okay. All right. So now it's back to nothing on it. Let's go ahead and click on it and go to cloth and pick yellow. And there you go. It has both PBR and blend font on it. So, in conclusion, this process is very simple and you can do stuff really, really rapidly. Or you can make it more complicated by exposing more of the data to manipulate. And it's extremely flexible because it gives you the ability to change everything. So there's nothing you could want to do that you wouldn't be able to do. And that's I don't know how to express it anymore. It's the most flexible, the most capable, the most powerful, and the easiest to use texture changer system in Second Life. Um, and things like adding a HUD. We'll talk about that in another video, but if I wanted to add a HUD to this, it is literally drop one script in. Then you make a HUD, and the HUD takes one script. So there's one script that goes in the HUD, one script that goes in the object. And then on the HUD, you have buttons for each texture set that you want to change or each texture that you want to do. Oh, there's one more thing I want to show. Something that I mentioned, but I'll talk about that in a minute. So all you do is you name the buttons the same as these note cards. You just take this note card name. I usually go to, oops, sorry. I usually go to properties or rename or something. Properties is safer. So go to properties, copy that, and then you paste that as the name of the button in the HUD. And that's it. You just paste that as the name of the button in the HUD. You drop one script in the HUD, one script in the furniture, and now you can change the textures using the HUD. It's that simple. The other thing I was going to show you is like, okay, what if I wanted to have, this is a bad example. So, okay, we'll turn on some of the wood down here. So I'm going to go in and say, okay, let's go ahead and put the legs in here. We'll call them legs. That. And we'll call this base. That. And this is corners. This is frame 1. And then these will be called squares. Something like that. Now I've named all the parts, right? I'm going to go ahead and go back and put my wood material that I had on there before. So let's go. I think it's dev_PBR is what I used to name all my materials when I was creating and selling materials. There we go. So put wood darkness on everything like so. And then that one I picked a different wood like this one. Okay, there we go. So I have my wood textured and I have this texture. Those have blend fong. These don't have blend fong, but it's okay. I'm going to switch back to PBR only. Set mode, PBR only. And we'll go ahead and dump this out. When you dump it, you're going to get data for everything, for all the parts. Cushion 1, cushion 2, legs, base, frame 1, squares, corners, cushion 3. So that should be everything, right? But it's very disorganized, and I'm not happy with the way it came out because I want my cushions to be together and I want everything else to be kind of together, all the wooden pieces. So there's a way to solve that. Basically, you take your object and you unlink it. And I want this is where I stuck stuff, so I still want that to be the root prim, so it will be the last one. So select everything else. Take the shadow, take the legs, take that, take the corners, take the thing, take the base, take that cushion, and then end on that one and hit link. So now I relinked it, and then we're going to do content reset scripts just to be safe. And then let's do dump again. So we're going to go to cloth, we're going to do dump. And now when it came out, cushion 1, cushion 2, cushion 3, squares, frame 1, corners, base, legs. So the wood's all together and the cushions are all together. Just by the order in which you link things, groups them together. Okay, so I got that. I'm going to go ahead and put that in to the yellow, but now yellow doesn't make any sense, right? Because it's for everything. And I want to separate them. I want one texture set that does everything like it is right now. It handles the wood and the cloth. And since it's everything, I could call it like all, or I could call it something. I usually call it theme because it's like a texture theme. So, so we're going to take this note card, we're going to pull it out into my materials folder here. Pull it back out. And then I'm going to copy it and paste it twice. I'm going to rename one of these to be theme. And we'll call this, I don't know, Ozark. And then we'll rename this one. Instead of calling it cloth, we'll call it wood. And then the name of this wood material was called darkness. So we'll call that darkness. And then the cloth is called yellow. Now, these have too much in it. This has everything, which is okay. But the wood, I only want the wood. So we're going to delete the 3 cushion lines. And then on the one for cloth, I don't want the wood. So we're going to delete everything but the 3 cushion lines. Save that. So now we have 3 note cards for the 3 different ways in which you can do this. We already have the yellow in there, but it's the wrong one, so let's delete it. And now we'll take all 3 of them and we'll put it back in. And there you go. So now if we click on this to get the menu come up, our menu just got bigger. So now we have cloth, theme, and wood. And if I pick theme, I get Ozark. I pick Ozark, it redid the whole thing. And then if I go up, I go to cloth, I can pick just yellow, and it just does the, you can't tell because it's like that. But anyway, I can make everything blank. And none. There we go. And now if I do, you'll see it. So okay, we'll go theme Ozark. All right, and we'll do the same thing again. We'll just mark that out. And then now if you see cloth, it only does the cloth. And then wipe that out. And then if I do wood, you'll see it just does the wood. And again, theme does everything. So theme does it all. So that's another way in which you can do it. You can split the note cards up. You don't have to have everything in every note card. You can have note cards set up by part or by whatever you want them to be. You have that kind of flexibility to do whatever you want. And somehow when I set everything to blank, I wiped out my floor shadow. So yeah, that's a common mistake I make. So I always keep a copy of my floor shadow around in case I need to restore it. Anyway, so that's it. So that's it for this video. Next video, we'll try to get into some more of the advanced things like using a HUD, creating a HUD, building it, and making it work. And then also things like master-slave relationships between stuff. But that's the base texture changer. That's everything you need to know. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Leave comments in the video. I'll try and answer them. But safest way is to reach out to me either on Discord or in Second Life, and I can answer this question. So this is Bandor, and we will talk to you guys next time.